Thank you very much to YB Wong Chen. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker has a quite interesting background actually. He is not a politician. He is actually a retired civil servant. In other words, government pensioner. But this is not your ordinary government pensioner. He is a Malaysia former ambassador of Malaysia to Mexico and Spanyol. Datuk Yeop Adlan, please remain seated first. We have prepared a special video for you. Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to the screen.
With Invoke, I had heard and observed Rafizi Ramli traveling with his lorry all over the country, meeting with the people extensively, and I thought this is the best way. If I could get myself to join him in his mission, I could be of some assistance to give ceramah to the people and so on, and to explain the situation. I also was very, very impressed with what I learned about Invoke, using a very, very scientific method, having a team of people, statisticians and analysts who are good with figures and so on, to do surveys, and to have people to telephone the fence-sitters and so on. In other words, a whole scientific system of approaching elections, national elections, a system that we know is being used in America and Europe and so on. It's the first time I've ever heard that this system is being used in this country. It's very, very impressive, and should be very effective, and should be very exciting to be a part of. And this is why I'm with Invoke.
Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, dengan penuh rasa bangga, saya persilakan yang berbahagia bekas Duta Besar Malaysia ke Mexico dan Spanyol, Datuk Yeop Adlan bin Cik Ros.
Thank you, Ketua Majlis. Yang berhormat, yang berbahagia, Saudara Rafizi Ramli, pasukan Invoke, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian yang saya hormati, saya hargai, salam mesra, salam sejahtera. Well, can we really look forward to a new government, to a new dawn after 60 years of rule by UMNO and Barisan Nasional? I have waited a long time for this. Let's hope. And these are very, very exciting times indeed, yes. But in the meantime, I've always said at my ceramas What can we do? We can only lament as to what should have been, could have been, would have been. Malaysia had so much promise at independence, but we've messed it up, yes? A small country of only 10 million people, 30 million people today. 30 million is equal to the number of people in Jakarta, as I always say. One city, Jakarta, 30 million. Mexico City is 30 million. One city. Our whole country is 30 million. So much resources, what we could have done with it. Tin, rubber, timber, oil, gas, palm oil. If you had looked after your resources well, use it for the benefit of the people, it would have been so easy to cater to 30 million people and provide with them. Tak kira Melayu, Cina, India, Karazan, Sarawak. Room for everybody, yes. Look at what happened to Singapore. In 20 years, they've joined the ranks of the first world developed country. In 20 years, you couldn't do it in 60 years. Bloody useless. Yes, you kicked out Singapore in 1965. Susah. UMNO was shouting, ketuanan Melayu, kesejahteraan Melayu. Pembangunan untuk Melayu. Do you want to do it yourself? All right, go ahead and do it. What did you do? You couldn't do it. Tak boleh buat. Yes, and Singapore did it in 20 years. Did they have tin, rubber, timber, oil, gas, palm oil? Nothing. They had only this. And they had something else, which was the thrust, the backbone of their government is anti-corruption. Hapuskan corruption. Hapuskan corruption. Yes. And so did China. 1.5 billion people to look after. They could do it. Kasih makan, bikin rumah, bikin hospital, bikin sekolah, implement the laws and so on for 1.5 billion people. It's pening kepala, yes? They could do it in 30 years. The fastest growth of any country from a third world to a first world country, the second most powerful economic power in the world in just 30 years. After Deng Xiaoping's socialism with Chinese characteristics, it can be done, yes. Indonesia, look, for so long, famous for its corruption, endemic. Under President Jokowi, hardly one term is over. What he has done, cramped down on corruption. And now the statistics show, the surveys done show, the forecast is that by 2030, Indonesia will be one of the top 10 economic powers in the world. Look at that. So there you are. We could only lament in horror as to what has happened to our country. So our quest now is to take it back, yes? Corruption, so endemic. I'm in this to vindicate my late father. I have to explain this to you. My late father was acting Sekjen of UMNO together with the Tengku, those times. Acting Sekjen of UMNO Malaya. He quarreled with the Tengku. At that time, there was a case of Menteri Besar taking money from timber concessions and so on. He quarreled with Tengku and argued that Tengku, you must not close your eyes to corruption. You must start from now, from Merdeka itself. If not, this business of corruption will be endemic. You won't be able to control it. UMNO will be finished. Everybody who will join UMNO will want to enrich themselves. The country will be ruined. Tengku turned a blind eye to it. He resigned. He resigned in 1959, yes, 2 years after Merdeka. Tun Abdul Razak, the deputy, sent a delegation to Ipoh to persuade Cik Ros not to resign. But he said, no, if you do not do this from the very beginning, our quest after independence will be ruined. You will forget the promises you made to the people to develop the country, to help the people and so on. UMNO will be taken by those pemimpin who hold posts to enrich themselves. And he was so right. I'm telling you this story to tell you it began right from there until now. If in those days you took 50,000 was considered horrible, look at what's happened today. 250 million lembu gondo, nothing happens. In fact, Referee Ramli has been slammed with a jail term of 30 bulan, and nothing happens to Shariat. And look at it, 2.6 billion into the personal account of the Prime Minister. Nothing happens. That's where we have been. And the country today is what? Utang approaching 1 trillion. We're paying 30 billion a year on bunga alone. What is there left? There's no other choice that we have, i.e., number one, we will go the long road of suffering for the people to overcome this. We will have to go the same road as Greece, Venezuela, Argentina, unfortunately. But at least we are giving ourselves the chance through Pakatan Harapan, through what you are doing with us together today, to take over the country and save it for ourselves. This is what this is about. We used to nod our head and looking at some of the African countries after their independence in the 50s, yes? Shake our heads and think, what has happened to those countries? Nigeria, Kenya, Zimbabwe, yes, South Africa, corruption. You can name the people there. Charles Taylor of Liberia, Babangida of Nigeria, Daniel Arap Moi of Kenya, Hufwe Bwani of Ivory Coast, Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, Jacob Zuma, and the other side, Lopez Portillo of Mexico, Evita, Juan de Bengo Peron of Argentina. You can name them. We used to shake our heads and think, apa sudah jadi to those countries. Hopefully, we are not like that. Thank goodness. And yet, today, look what has happened. We have become the champion of champions, even bigger than those characters now. Robert Mugabe is now turning around and saying, what has happened to our friends Malaysia? Oh, they have done better than us. Yes. The greatest kleptocracy in the latest history of mankind. Can you beat that? It's like winning the Oscar. The Oscar for the best kleptocrat goes to, jointly, to Najib and Rosmah from Malaysia. Thank you. We have many people to thank for this success. First of all, we must thank the people of Malaysia. Secondly, we must thank 1MDB. And third, we must thank GST, without which we couldn't do it. We couldn't succeed to win this Oscar. We'll try to increase the GST by 10% next year, do it again, and come back next year and win the Oscar again. Thank you. Tuan-tuan dan puan sekalian, I was asked to say a few words as to why am I in Invoke. Well, I'm a member of DAP, honorary member. I offered myself to do something in the run-up to PRU 14. They didn't beckon. That's okay. They have no use for this ex-ambassador. I had to do something to my part in the PRU. I had read and heard Rafizi explaining what Invoke does. He has a team of very young people, experts in their field, doing figures and drawing charts and comparisons, and I can't even name the term they do, but you know what I mean. They do statistics, and this is a very exciting way of running elections. Apparently this is the way it's done abroad, with figures, and they target fence-sitters. You no longer try to win those who support the Democrats on one side or those who support the Republicans on one side to come over to you. You target the fence-sitters. elections are won by the fence-sitters. And this is what is done here. And so I approached him. We are Malay College alumni. It was easy to approach. I saw him in court before he appeared before the judge. We had a very personal, long, private conversation. And I told him, well, I could join you on your lorry traversing the country to give ceramah and so on, you know. So I said, well, I could do something there. And I said, if anything, I do have a message to the people in the kampungs and so on. I said, whenever you talk about corruption to the people in the kampungs, it doesn't register to them. You know, they can't count beyond 1,000. 1 million is just too much. 100 million, 2 billion, can't figure it out. In any case, they think, well, it's the norm. These politicians, this is what they do. And they sort of half accept it. So I said, they do not have enough outrage on corruption. What I think I have tried to do and found effective was to tell them, do you realize this is done by those people in UMNO who call themselves Muslims, who pray every day, who congregate every Friday, fill up the mosque to pray, bow down, prostrate before the Almighty every day. And what do they say? Please show me the straight path. Idrina sirata mustaqim. Show me the straight path. Show me the straight path. Pretending not to know that you're taking poor people's poor money from the poor, taking tabung haji money is not evil and wrong. And you followers who give support to these kind of people who are in contempt of the Almighty, you yourself become hopeless. And this seems to hit them. And I found this along the road. Yes, it had that salutary effect. But the other thing I wanted to say was this. In following Rafizi's lorry all over the country giving ceramah, I also observed what he was doing at close quarters. And I can report to you that, what did I see? I really see an amazing human being doing this selfless job, a great sacrifice. Great sacrifice to himself, to his family and young son. Punishing schedule that he keeps every day, every 6 ceramah per day. Can you beat that? 6 ceramah. At the end of the day, as he is just now lost his voice to say anything at all. And yet he attends Pakatan leaders meetings over seat allocations and candidates list, logos and what have you. And he checks on his team in the office on who's crunching figures to see if there are any new trends, any developments happening. It's fantastic, really. Yes. I know he's the kind of person who's loath to hearing songs of praise like this heaped onto himself. But this is perhaps the last of such meetings we have together, Invoke, yes? And I might as well take this opportunity to ask you to join me to say thank you to him, his wife, and his son for their sacrifice. Thank you. I have it on record, he tells me, that in case Pakatan Harapan wins and forms the next government, there will be a role for Invoke. Yes, it could be a tool to help government to do surveys and to do figures, to see trends and what have you. That will be good news. But first, of course, we have got to win it. And I have news for you. We are going to win it. I'm looking forward to see Shakespeare's Richard III, Act 5, Scene 4 being played out. You know that scene? You remember that scene? King Richard, the evil tyrant, has fallen on his horse. His horse is dead. He's trying to escape. He has to look for another horse. He has to beg for a horse. He has to bribe for a horse. A horse, my kingdom for a horse. You know that one. Well, yes. Now you know who's begging to escape. MO1. Yes. Bribing his way. Naik pangkat, naik gaji, naik allowance for police, rela, bomba, civil servants. Brim, you want brim for a horse? I'm waiting for that scene to be enacted. Yes. A horse, my kingdom for a horse. How about Rosma? No, not that horse. She is the cause of all this. You can keep her. We keep her? You want these people here to keep her? No way. Lawan tetap. Thank you very much. We have some way to go, yes. As was explained earlier on, the last defense we've got is the Pachas, how important it is. From what I understand, from what we see, I think we've won the debate, yes. But now it is up to the Pachas. There'll be massive cheating, yes. We know Najib will resort to all the cheating he can do to win. We have to depend on the Pachas. And I'll join in the call again. Do get your friends, do get everybody to come and be the Pachas as our last line of defense. And then I hope to see you again on the 10th of May when we welcome a new day, a new dawn. And last, one other offshoot of what Invoke has done, I have observed, is this. Wherever he goes, I see the people. I see their admiration for him, for what he's doing. I see the gratitude on their faces. I see their plea to have a hope. Yes. Then, when he comes, they mob him. Before he leaves, they mob him again to take photographs, endless selfies. And this is what I wanted to say. That the corollary effect of what Rafizi Ramli and Invoke has done has been to bring us all together as one. Tak kira lah Melayu, Cina, India, we are all one rakyat and one bangsa Malaysia. This is something very precious we have to keep as we go further from here and so on. Yes, and with that, I say thank you to you. And once again, I hope to see you on the 10th of May, sometime, when we welcome a new dawn and a new day for the country, inshallah. Thank you very much, and good night.
Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, tepukan gemuruh sekali lagi untuk Datuk Yeop Adlan.
Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, salam